Good morning, class, and welcome to the Zoom meeting. My name is Mr. Rivera, and I will be your substitute teacher for the day, okay? Since I do not have a projector and we are doing all classes via Zoom now, I am going to explain why we should be doing government and the cases in government, okay? Since I do not have a projector, though, I do have a quick paper slideshow. I hope you all enjoy, okay? So the first thing is, why should we study government? Now, government is very important for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, government helps us understand our nation and understand where it's going and where it is being led to by who is running it if we do our own research on that. Also, government helps widen our understandings of who we're voting for, why we're voting for them, and what their aim is for our nation, and it even helps us direct the path of where our nation will go, whether it's led by those that we vote into office by, following others or the bandwagon, or if we vote for someone on who we actually think will further the nation to its greatest and highest peaks and desires. The second slide is elitism. Now, elitism is the thought or process that a government or a group is run through the elites of a society. Now, the elites are people that have high social status or standing within their society, or a lot of money or things of that such, and or that they are seen to be above or higher or at a different standing than others. There are some benefits to elitism, like that those in power that have the strength and the money and the say to do things will take action and further the society to its fullest potential. But also some negative things about elitism is that the elites will simply look out for each other or find other elites to socialize or participate with. And so therefore the ones in poverty or the ones that are less fortunate are underrepresented and continue to live in poverty. And so the weaker ones in those societies tend to drastically lose their say and go down in the social status chain, lower than they already are. The second thing I would like to talk about is pluralism, okay? Now, pluralism is when two or more states, groups, or principles, or even nations of authority coexist together and help each other out in any way, shape, or form. A positive is that this allows treaties and peace and strength in numbers because they're working together to achieve similar ideas or similar goals that they want to reach. But a negative thing about this is, even though there's so many people and so much strength in numbers, this could be negative because there would be so many differences in opinion. If one person wants to talk about the death sentence and things, but someone else has a different opinion on it, that could arise different opinions and then create contention within these groups. At the same time, something that one person or one group of people think is morally or ethically acceptable to some may be inappropriate, or others may have a different opinion on that, and so therefore that'll arise contentions and differences in opinion, which in a wide variety of people, that can be very difficult to reach a compromise. The next thing I would like to talk about is trade-offs. Now, trade-offs is a mutual agreement or a compromise between one state or one group of people to another, or even nations can create trade-offs and compromises between each other to help each other out. This is beneficial because it'll create bonds between nations and peace, like I said earlier, And these are important to help each other out. And the one good or one thing that one nation has could be beneficial to another, and so therefore they could trade with each other, and nations can achieve what they lack, and other nations can achieve what they want. And so that's really good for their economy and ours as well. But a negative thing about it is that states or groups or nations that have nothing to trade, or things that they have majority of that nobody wants, they stay in the same position because no one would want to trade off with them, because it wouldn't benefit anyone else. And so therefore those nations will dwindle or die or suffer severely because of this. And they will continue to struggle because they simply just have no one to trade off with, which is very sad and not beneficial for them or anyone else. The next one I'd like to talk is, what is citizen engagement and how do we do it? Now, each of us have a different role as citizens. We each have plenty of different ways that we can engage ourselves as citizens. Many believe that running for office is like the easiest way to show that you're a citizen and to get engaged. That's not true. There's many different ways, as simply voting is exercising your citizenship engagement, which is very nice as long as you know what you're voting for, who you're voting for, and why you're voting. Hence why you need to do your own research and to further your understanding of the government. Other ways that you can be engaged as a citizen is that you can join an interest group or something that you're actually interested in, so that you can involve yourself and others and invite others to be involved in that, so you can create a movement to where others will arise their understandings and their attention to whatever you're trying to pursue. The next thing I would like to talk about is what led to the American Revolution. So basically, in a nutshell, the British was attempting to further their control over their colonies and everyone that they wanted, and they were attacking and just very drilling in that they were in charge. And those that stood up to them, they stood up for their independence. And so this was the cause of the American Revolution, because the British were not happy about that. What led to the Articles of Confederation? It was at the beginning of the American Revolution, and Congress wanted a stronger union and a government that could defeat Great Britain. So the Articles of Confederation were born, and they were to help them stray away and declare their independence from Great Britain, as I stated earlier. The Bill of Rights, what is it now? The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments in the Constitution. In the Constitution, or the Bill of Rights was adopted and written in 1689, and since then there are now 27 amendments, and so 17 amendments have been added since that time. These first 10 amendments, though, they talk about the freedoms that you have, like the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, and the freedom of religion. Which freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want and you can have your own opinions, which a lot of places do not have, and you can declare your independence. And the freedom of religion is to exercise any religion that you want without being discriminated against, which is also very important. The next thing is, what is the separation of powers? Now, there's a lot to cover on this, and so I encourage you guys to do your own research as well, but I'll give you some quick things in a nutshell. The dissecting of powers, the separation of powers is separating the powers of government into three different branches, and those branches are the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. Now, the judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court. The executive branch is made up of the president, the vice president, and the cabinet. And the legislative branch is made up of Congress, which Congress is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives has 435 representatives from each state based on population, and the Senate has 100 representatives, 2 per each state. This was the Virginia plan, I think. The Virginia plan, where they had both so that bigger states could have bigger representation, but at the same time, each state would have an equal representation in Congress. Hence why there's 2 separate bodies. There's the Senate and the House of Representatives. And then each of these branches, to make sure that one of them doesn't become overpowering over others or that they don't get too much power, there are checks and balances put in place where one branch can check another, and they all check each other to make sure that they're all very equal. So the legislative branch checks the executive branch, so Congress checks the president, because even though the president can veto laws that the legislative branch portrays or gives to the president, they can override that veto with if they have enough votes within Congress. The way that the legislative branch checks and balances the judicial branch is that even though the Senate confirms the Senate confirms and denies the president's nomination, so they can impeach them, and they can say that they do not want the president's. The president nominates people to be on Supreme Court, and the legislative branch can say no and override it with also a vote. The executive branch checks and balances the legislative branch, because even though the legislative branch makes laws, the president can do a presidential veto where he vetoes the bill immediately. But he has to put forth a reason why, and then it goes back to the Congress so that they can make revisions if needed and if wanted. The executive branch also checks the judicial branch, because the president is the one who appoints or nominates federal judges. And then the judicial branch checks and balances the legislative branch, because the legislative branch makes laws, but the judicial branch reviews those laws for relevance, if they are relevant or if they are not, to the Constitution. They also check and balance the executive branch, because the executive branch, like the president, the vice president, and the cabinet, also makes decisions for the nation and for different bodies of people. And the judicial branch, the Supreme Courts, also checks those decisions for relevance to the Constitution. Now, I hope you all learned something new today. I encourage you all to do your own research in your own time on the government, and I hope that you all take something from this lesson and put it into your daily lives. Have a good day.